we're kind of on this topic of like change and personal change and how does that happen best and all this sort of stuff. Now, I've been working with people for a long time. I've been a coach for a long time, but I don't think that's what you need. What you need to change, what you need to find your best self is simple daily actions that you could do. And then second is you need a community. Now, guidance and a coach is great. Now, the problem is whenever we're talking about change is sold. Okay. Like fitness, happiness, pickup, finding your best self, all that sort of stuff is sold, and that you need a coach, and that it's revolved around this pumping up, and that if you can, get your mentality right, make this commitment, you can fucking kick ass. And we get there, man. I get there. Like I get into the things that I'm doing. But one of the things that I've always gotten from coaching and working with men and that I've promoted is that, man, it's you. It's all you, and it's all your responsibility. I can just, it most really, and what I do in my style of coaching is offer a template and a forum where you can do it yourself, because you're going to need to do it yourself. If you think that it's going to come from modeling or mimicking somebody, that can help you. That helps you get up one step, but to walk the rest of the path, it's all up to you. And I don't know, we get all into that on like learning techniques and getting into functionality. Sure, you have to mimic and you have to follow, but ultimately it is you. So let's go through this. Like I've made a lot of changes in my life, and they've been major, like massive, like really hard things that, I at one point I thought would never change. Dating and seduction. Okay. Whatever. I had some trouble with women. I wanted to meet them in better ways and be able to have good sexual relationships that I wanted. Again, sure, I hung out with some great pickup artists, but man, I took it upon myself to go, go, go. But the real things, like when you're into like drug stuff or addiction, dude, that's some like fucked up shit. And I'll tell you this, like, I didn't think I would stop. I didn't think there was a way for me to find happiness. And to break down the timeline, and I'll just go over really quickly, but 17, I got clean originally, went out again when I was 20. From 20 to about 28, it was just like totally fucked. And I'll tell you, man, years of waking up every day or going to sleep every day going like, well, if I fucking, puke in my sleep and throw up on or choke on my vomit, because I'm, did too much of whatever, drinking, pills, whatever sort of opiate stuff. And that was the things that I kind of like dug. That's actually why I love the breathing so much, is because it gets you kind of that same effect, but in a way that's good, that's beneficial. In any case, so that being said, like if you go to sleep night after night for years, just being like, man, this fucking sucks. Like if I died, it wouldn't be so bad. And really having that, and then never thinking that that's going to change, that would be impossible to change like that then, that's kind of like where I was coming at. And then getting the opportunities. This is what pickup did for me. I was like, all right, well, I can get love and relationships almost at will. Now, that doesn't mean that I could just like point at a girl and get her, but it would be like, if I had a week, I could get whatever type of sexual experience. If I wanted to have like orgies, give me a week, any country in the world, I'd get it. If I wanted to fall in love, give me a week, any country in the world, I'd get it. And, you just have those opportunities, right? But still not happy. Now I'm getting money, right? I'm actually getting money from people for teaching this, and back in 2006 and 2007, people were paying a lot of money. 2008, people were paying a ton of money. Like if I wanted to get $10,000, I could get $10,000. I remember my first $20,000 sale. It was like, oh my God, really? Okay, party time, right? And so even then, money, relationships, sex, all the things that I could imagine that would make me happy, traveling, living wherever I wanted, did not make me happy, and also did not make me rich, did not make me able to sustain those things. Why? Because what needed to change and what really changed me was working at very simple things on a day-to-day basis. Number one, getting clean. That sucks. Not because of like any withdrawal thing or whatever. And I had done like my major detoxing prior to like this time and getting it. long story, but I could explain it another thing. But that's not the struggle. The struggle is your lifestyle after that. Like, how do you make friends? How do you talk to people? Like, everything you see is like getting something for nothing and getting whatever angles, thinking that you're a good person when everything that you've done is bad, or different reflections that you have in your life, or when you have like so much guilt or shame, or you're down on yourself in different ways. Like, that shit, just doesn't work. So you don't think that it's possible for yourself. You don't think that you could be a good person or have anything to offer. So that being said, it's like when you're going through the motions of that, what helped me? Community, being around people, working with other people who have also had the same like journey of mine of trying to be, abstain from different drug and alcohol things, and to work on yourself in a good way. It was a daily action. I didn't guru worship anybody. In fact, that was cut out of the equation. We're all equals. That's how we saw it when we worked on when I was working on the getting clean thing. And that's still how I see it. The amount of time I have, how long it's been, the struggles that I have, no, doesn't mean shit, man. How did I do it today? How did I do it for now? Okay. If I think that it's a part of my identity, then I'm actually taking away from, number one, the power of the addiction, which is like some for real fucking shit, man. And I prove it to myself in all sorts of interesting ways. But also I take away the power of what I believe in that is greater than myself, which is a group of people. When I think I am more important or better than other people, then I start discounting the power of community, the power of nature. Like if you believe in God, the power of God. I have a different concept about that. I believe in biology in the world and nature and all this different stuff. But when I think I am so much more important, I actually cut out what the true beauty of the world around me is. So that's some really important stuff. Now, when it came then to getting in shape physically or really working on my mental health, it was a day-to-day basis. It was something that helped me to work on myself, in little ways, to not freak out. I remember my first thing, like, one of the first things that my friend Justin actually said to me is I went to go, I forget what year this was. This might have been like 2008 or something like that. And I was in some store and there was a jacket and I stole it. I felt bad, right? And I felt so bad that I actually went back in and returned it. And I didn't tell them. I didn't want to get in trouble, but I had walked out with the jacket on and then I walked back in and I was like, man, I can't do this. And I put it back on the rack and then walked out. And I remember I told Justin about that. And he's like, dude, here's what you got to realize. In the real world, like if you steal something, yeah, you can get in trouble, you can go to jail, and that's a bad thing. But in your world of working on yourself, it is not only that action, which of course you need to stop so you don't get in trouble, but on a spiritual, on a mental level of the journey of what you have within yourself, it's that you don't consider that to be a big deal. You don't consider that to be something that is this like horrible thing. You acknowledge it and you're able to move past it and relax from it. The freaking out that you're having is there because of the guilt and shame and the other stuff that you need to work on. So let's get to a place of non-judgment and start recognizing it and go, oh man, I wanted to do that. Oh, wow. I compulsively, just wanted to have that. See, because if you're in a bad, let's say if you have bad thoughts, like you have negative thinking and you're like, oh, I hate myself, or, oh man, fuck these people. Or this is actually a funny thing because when I was reading people's New Year's resolutions, there are a couple of my crazy chick friends, and there's crazy guys like this, but chicks just there's crazy guys like this, but chicks just post about it a lot. But they're like, in 2016, finally, I'm going to get a man that's going to fall in love with me, and it's not going to be some pussy motherfucker, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, wow, you're not even realizing probably it takes two to tango, and because you've had so many bad relationships, might be because of you. But it's this idea that we blame the world on us. We get in that negative mindset. Look, If you stop that mindset, that's good. That's great. But you still haven't explored on why you have that mindset. You still haven't explored on why that's happening. If I just stop stealing, if I just stop using drugs, if I just stop having resentments, I haven't really explored why that is there. So what Justin was telling me is he's like, look, man, when you have that thought, sure, if you get caught stealing, you get in trouble and you pay for that. You be responsible for that. But you need to get to the point where it's like, all right, I wanted to steal that. Like, what does that do for me? I'm going to recognize it. I'm not just going to let it take over. I'm not just going to let the resentment, oh my God, fuck these people. All my life's problems are based on these fucking 4 people in my life and this is happening. I'm going to now start to recognize that. Okay, why am I thinking that? Is that really in there with it? Are they really that? Why do they, why are they my life's problems? Why is it that I can't have a relationship with somebody because, people are bitches or pussies or whatever the fuck, these people were saying. And then if we can relax with that and get ourselves out of that fight, dude, it's so much easier then to basically go, all right, did I have a part in this? Man, I'm in a place of non-judgment. I don't care. I'm not emotionally attached to this right now. I've looked at it. I've talked about it with people or whatever. I've written it down. And did I have a part in it? Man, because I'm so mad about this, was there a fear behind it that I might lose something? And that was the craziest thing. It was the craziest thing. Stealing stuff has so much, there's so much that goes on with that. But one of those things, like, you can map it out. It's like, all right, I'm obsessively and compulsively thinking about, shoplifting something so I can get something that I want, so I can do whatever, On a personal, spiritual level, I actually have no problem with people doing that. On a legal level, I get why there's absolutely a problem doing that. But I understand, like, okay, you're taking something, right? And I can morally justify that and all that sort of stuff. I can even look at it in my own viewpoint and justifying it. On a legal level, not so much. But here's where the problem is. Here's where the fucking problem is because I have to be a bitch to my obsession. I can't control myself. And when I can't control myself, guess what? There's probably a part in there that I play that I haven't acknowledged. So what's the fear if I don't do this? And that's important. Look at that. What's the fear if I don't steal this? What helps me if I do steal this? I have control. I can get it. I can prove myself. I can get back the corporations or whatever, crazy stuff you might think, right? I'll be better than the other people who don't notice me. There's all these different things that aren't huge and that aren't big. And I don't want some like dickhead, like, well, here, when we analyze this, like the thief's mind, it's fucking, dude, it's so much more complex than that. But in the healing of it, I need to look at that. Dude, if I walk into a place now, I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I don't give a shit. It's actually a kind of a funny story. But I remember when I first started teaching pickup in 2007, these guys came up to Dallas, Fort Worth, and they were like, talk to this girl, talk to her. And I was like, you want to see how good I am? How about I go in this store and you say whatever you want it is for me to steal, and I hold a conversation with the person while I'm stealing, like with the shopkeeper while I'm stealing it. And I'll show you how to do it. And like, that was no problem for me back then. Like, no problem, not a big deal. And they were like amazed at the social dynamics of it. And, perhaps that helped in social dynamics. But the thing is that in all of that is like, what was I doing it for? And what was I able to serve? Just stopping the action wouldn't get me there. In order to get back to a level of some point of happiness, I didn't need to stop the action because it was quote unquote bad. Of course, there's consequences that come to it, but I needed to stop the action so I could get to myself. That is like a journey that will take you daily action to get towards. And that's the only way change can happen. And when I can't say that there's like better change than others, but the great changes in my life had nothing to do with following another person, worshiping them, or ultimately thinking I was less than. What they had to do was saying like, well, wait a minute, the bad shit in my life is in one area, but there's a good part of my life that's also within me. And I need to learn to separate those two to see what was what so I could be it. Now, of course, you need action in that. Of course, you need some results in that. Of course, you need leadership in that. But those are small pieces to the puzzle of the daily action that builds it consistently.